I'm really glad you're here. Let me sit with you for a moment and tell you about something that's coming. Not everyone will notice it, and most won't realize how much it matters until it's already passed. It's a solar eclipse, but this one isn't like the last. Last time, people were excited, prepared, and full of anticipation. They studied it, bought special glasses, posted pictures online. It was a big event. Everyone thought they understood it. But this eclipse is different. It's quieter, subtler, and because of that, even more powerful. Most people won't pay attention until they're already feeling it in their bodies, their moods, and their decisions. That's why I want to talk to you now, so that instead of being caught off guard, you walk into this moment aware and ready. The first thing you need to understand is that this eclipse is partial, and at first, partial sounds less impressive, doesn't it? People think it means weaker, but it's the opposite. A total eclipse is dramatic, sweeping, all-consuming. A partial eclipse is precise. Think of it like the difference between a storm that floods a whole city and a sharp blade that cuts exactly where it needs to. A total eclipse is overwhelming. A partial eclipse is surgical. It doesn't wipe everything away. It finds the blind spots, the cracks, the habits you didn't want to look at. It shines a shadow on the things you've been avoiding. And here's where the timing makes it even more intense. This eclipse lands right on the edge of the equinox, when the Earth itself is in transition, tilting from one season into another. That moment is already about balance shifting, nature rebalancing itself. Add an eclipse to that, and the effect doubles. It presses on your life at a point where change is already in motion. That's why you may feel restless, foggy, or unusually emotional in the days around it. The smallest interruption to the sun, the very rhythm that regulates life on this planet, spreads through us like ripples on water. It affects our sleep, our focus, even the clarity we depend on to feel steady. So let's talk about what this eclipse really tests. There are three main areas it will push: your attention, your energy, and your plans. First, your attention. On a normal day, you might already feel distracted, pulled in different directions. During the eclipse, that feeling intensifies. You may start your morning clear, knowing exactly what matters, and by the end of the day, find yourself wondering why you wasted hours on things that weren't important. The shadow of the eclipse has a way of bending focus, pulling it away from priorities and toward distractions. If you're not anchored, you'll end up chasing noise instead of meaning. Then comes energy. This is when you may feel restless but unable to act on it, or strangely tired with no clear reason. It can feel like you're stuck in a strange rhythm, buzzing one moment, drained the next. That's the eclipse forcing you to pause. It's almost like a reset button, but if you fight it, it feels like burnout. The trick is not to resist. Don't force yourself to power through. Let your body take the break it's asking for, because that's where the clarity comes back in. And then there are your plans. This is one of the biggest impacts. The eclipse stirs questions you've been able to avoid. Where am I really going? Who do I want beside me? What do I actually want to build? It makes you re-examine your direction, whether it's career, relationships, or personal goals. And here's the thing. Eclipses don't destroy your journey. They test your ability to hold on to it. If you're on the right path, you may feel strengthened. If you're drifting, you'll feel shaken. And if you refuse to look, life itself may reshuffle things for you. And the truth is, when the universe does the reshuffling, it's rarely gentle. There's another sign to pay attention to, those thoughts that keep looping. You know the ones, that same person, that same memory, that same worry that pops into your head at random times. When you're brushing your teeth, trying to fall asleep, driving your car, there it is again. That's not coincidence. That's your soul waving a flag. The eclipse brings those loops to the surface. It makes what's unresolved impossible to ignore. Most people dismiss it as overthinking, but often it's not. It's your deeper self saying, this is where the shift is coming. And often, what you need to release isn't something toxic. Sometimes it's something you've simply outgrown. That can be harder to see because it's not bad, it's just done. The eclipse forces you to face that. If you're still holding on to habits that drain you, people who pull you down, or old chapters that no longer fit, this energy will clear them. If you don't do it willingly, it may happen suddenly, without your permission. That's why the days before the eclipse are so important. This is the time to let go consciously, to prune the dead weight yourself before it gets ripped away. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't plant new seeds in soil overrun with weeds. You clear the ground first, so what grows is strong and healthy. But there's another layer to all of this. During a solar eclipse, the usual borders between your inner world and the outer world get thinner. Suddenly, emotions that aren't yours may feel like they belong to you. Someone else's mood can weigh on you instantly. A room can feel heavy as soon as you walk in. It's not your imagination. When the sun and moon line up like this, the filters we normally rely on don't work as well. Energy seeps in that would normally bounce off. That's why people often feel more sensitive, more drained, more reactive in the days around an eclipse. So, protecting your energy is essential. And protection doesn't mean hiding away or shutting everyone out. It means being intentional. Ask yourself, who am I spending time with? What situations am I stepping into without thinking? What energy am I allowing into my space? During an eclipse, everything you expose yourself to is magnified. Neglecting your boundaries now has bigger consequences than usual. Think of your energy like a home. On a normal day, leaving the windows open just lets in a breeze. During an eclipse, those same open windows let in a storm. And storms don't knock politely. They come in whether you're ready or not. So this is the time to close what needs closing, set boundaries, and decide who and what you'll allow inside. Protecting yourself doesn't mean paranoia. It means respect. Respecting your own field, your own balance, your own needs. If you don't shield yourself, the eclipse will use that vulnerability as a lesson. It will show you where your boundaries are weak, where you let too much in, where you haven't cared for your own space. And those lessons can be harsh if you're not mindful. But if you are mindful, if you choose wisely, rest intentionally, release what's heavy, then the same energy that shakes others can actually strengthen you. The eclipse isn't here to ruin you, it's here to realign you. Yes, it will test you. Yes, it may shake things up. But it's also an invitation, a chance to clear what no longer fits, to reset your focus, to listen to the thoughts that keep knocking, and to walk forward lighter and more aligned. The choice is whether you meet it scattered or steady. And the fact that you're here, paying attention, already means you're ahead of the storm. In the days before an eclipse, the nights carry a strange weight. Sleep no longer feels like simple rest, but turns into a hidden stage where something deeper plays out. Dreams arrive with a sharpness that makes them impossible to ignore. Some cling to you, even after you've woken, leaving you unsettled as if you've carried part of another world into daylight. Others speak in symbols that make little sense at first, but you know instinctively they aren't meaningless. They are messages, shaped by the thinning of the veil between the conscious and unconscious. When your mind is too full or distracted to listen, your soul finds another way to speak, and it does so through dreams. In the nights leading to an eclipse, dreams often serve as a form of inner cleansing. They pull out hidden fears, old frustrations, or forgotten desires and replay them through strange but powerful images. That's why you can wake up from them both tired and yet oddly lighter, as though part of your burden has been lifted. Your mind is clearing its storage, preparing you for the shift in energy the eclipse brings. It's less about random stories in your sleep and more about emotional and spiritual housekeeping. Yet not all dreams are about release. Some arrive like seeds planted in your awareness. They show you odd details, a symbol, a face, a short encounter, that seem insignificant until later. After the eclipse, when your vision shifts, those fragments suddenly line up like puzzle pieces. That's when you realize the dream was guiding you all along. These are the dreams that feel heavy, filled with meaning you can't quite name but can't shake either. They leave behind a frequency that hums in your waking life, and sometimes they spill forward as déjà vu, moments you swear you've seen before. What you're experiencing is not coincidence, but the natural alignment of inner and outer worlds. Not every dream feels kind. Some force you to face parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. Others bring back people you thought you had left behind. That discomfort is part of the eclipse's work. It magnifies what is unfinished so it can finally be addressed. Treat these dreams like letters written in code. You may not understand them right away, but in time, their meaning will unfold. That's why it helps to write them down. Even if they seem random, keep a record. Later, when the eclipse passes, you may discover they were pointing you toward the very events that were waiting to unfold in your life. And sometimes, the dreams that come are not just your own. Because the veil between the personal and collective thins, you may glimpse visions that feel too vast to belong only to you. They can carry the weight of humanity's struggles or hopes, giving you flashes of something much larger than your daily concerns. These collective dreams can be overwhelming, but they carry truths that bypass logic and denial, landing directly in your awareness. Once planted, they quietly shape the way you move through waking life. But here's something few people realize. The clarity you gain can be lost the moment you wake if you fall into the wrong habit. The most common trap is reaching for your phone first thing in the morning. It feels harmless, even automatic. Yet in this sensitive window, it's one of the most damaging things you can do. The first thing you give your attention to sets the tone for your whole day. If you hand those first precious minutes to notifications, news, and endless scrolling, you're telling yourself that the voices of the outside world matter more than your own. You silence the wisdom your dreams just delivered before you've even had a chance to listen. Attention is a kind of currency, and the eclipse magnifies where you choose to spend it. If you begin in distraction, the eclipse amplifies that static until you feel disoriented, restless, even cut off from yourself. If you begin in stillness, that energy is amplified instead, giving you a clearer sense of guidance. Think of it like a storm. Closing your windows doesn't stop the weather, but it does keep your house from being damaged. Protect your mornings in the same way. A few minutes of silence, writing, or simply breathing will anchor you far more than checking a screen ever could. Many people believe that preparing for an eclipse means doing more, setting goals, manifesting, filling journals, meditating longer. But eclipses are not about pushing. They're about alignment. They don't ask you to force the next chapter into existence, but to clear the space for it to arrive naturally. That space is created through calm, not chaos. True insight comes in quiet moments, not in constant activity. If you ignore that, the eclipse will strip away the distractions until you're left with silence anyway. Making room for stillness doesn't mean abandoning life or ignoring responsibilities. It simply means creating pauses in your day, a walk without headphones, a few breaths without reaching for something to distract you, or lying still and letting your body soften. These simple acts of quiet allow the alignment of the eclipse, sun, moon, and earth locked in perfect balance, to be reflected in you. If you resist and fill every space with action, that alignment can feel like a collision. If you accept stillness, it becomes revelation. There's also a reason ancient traditions treated eclipses with secrecy. What comes alive in these windows is delicate, like a seed just beginning to sprout. If you expose it too soon by sharing it with others, their doubts, assumptions, or even silent envy can weaken it. Think of how many times you've shared a new idea with excitement, only to feel it deflate after hearing someone else's opinion. The same happens during an eclipse, except the effect is magnified. Protect what's forming until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Silence is not about hiding, it's about safeguarding what matters most. The eclipse on September 21st isn't just another cosmic event. It's something I call a recalibration eclipse. It doesn't rearrange the outside world first. Instead, it begins by shifting your inner compass. Think of it like trying to balance a scale while someone keeps tossing extra weights on top. You can't stabilize it until everything goes still. That's why it's dangerous to share your personal changes or announce your intentions before they're fully formed. The moment you expose them too soon, outside energies and even your own premature words can disturb their delicate balance. This is the hidden layer of the eclipse, protecting not only against outside voices, but also against your own tendency to declare things before they're ready. When you talk too much about what you plan to do, your mind tricks itself into believing you've already achieved it. That false sense of progress drains your motivation and weakens your vision. Under eclipse skies, that vulnerability becomes glaringly obvious. An eclipse doesn't simply magnify energy, it tests it. If your plans are fragile, if your vision is shallow, or if you proclaim them to the world before they've taken root, the eclipse will strip them away. That's why the deepest, most lasting transformations often happen in silence. Think of a seed buried in the soil. No one sees it. No one applauds it. It isn't discussed or praised, yet it is quietly gathering power beneath the surface. Only when it is strong enough to break through does it rise, unstoppable. Your ideas and dreams should be nurtured the same way, protected in silence, given time to strengthen before facing the noise and distractions of others. Like seedlings, they can't survive if they're constantly pulled up to be shown. Until the eclipse has passed, your intentions are safest when whispered only to yourself, kept in the shadows where they can grow. That's why in the days surrounding this eclipse, you must resist the urge to over-explain, defend, or prove yourself. It's not about a lack of confidence. It's about recognizing that silence builds power. When belief is guarded and nourished in secret, it becomes unshakable. Later, your actions will carry a force that words never could. Something unusual happens around eclipses. Words stop being casual. They take on weight, as if every sound is etched into the fabric of the moment. Conversations don't just vanish, they echo. They linger. They ripple far beyond what you intend. During an eclipse, your voice becomes like a spiritual command line. Every word is a signal. Some call for chaos, others call for clarity. What you speak in this period will be amplified, carried into the heightened atmosphere of the eclipse. Healing words, prayers, and affirmations travel like blessings. Words of anger, doubt, or gossip spread like poison and return in ways you don't expect. Ancient mystics understood this. They treated speech as sacred because they knew words didn't just describe reality, they shaped it. Under eclipse skies, that power of shaping becomes even stronger. What you whisper today may be the reality you live with tomorrow. And here's the part most people overlook. It's not only about what you say to others. The way you speak to yourself matters just as much. Every cruel comment you make about yourself, every doubtful thought you let slip, every quiet insult you direct at your own reflection, they're all absorbed and sealed into your energy under the eclipse. What you tell yourself can become a chain that drags you down long after the shadow has passed. But the reverse is also true. Gentle words of trust, love, and courage, even when whispered in solitude, are heard. They're planted in your path like guiding lights, building strength and protection. Because everything is magnified during an eclipse, even the smallest, kindest words spoken to yourself can create lasting change. This doesn't mean silence is required. It means your words should be precious. Before speaking, weigh them. Ask yourself, is this healing? Is this true? Is this necessary? If the answer is no, let silence carry the moment. Every careless word spoken during an eclipse can become a shadow that follows you, but every intentional word can be a foundation stone in your future. Think of words as doors. Every time you speak, you open one. Some doors lead to wisdom, strength, and peace. Others open to doubt, conflict, or regret. During an eclipse, these doors swing wider than usual because the veil between worlds is thinner. You need to choose carefully which ones you unlock. You don't always need to explain yourself, prove yourself, or announce your plans. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do with your voice is save it for what truly matters. Every reckless comment is magnified in this season, but so is every deliberate prayer, every blessing, every word of truth. Speak as though every phrase is a spell, because during an eclipse, it is. And when the shadow passes, you'll either be trapped behind the wrong doors you left open or walking boldly through the right ones you chose with care. Many people treat eclipses as a time for rituals, candles, and elaborate intentions. But the most powerful thing you can do before an eclipse is something most never consider: nothing at all. Silence itself becomes a ritual. Stillness is the offering. Let the eclipse meet you empty-handed if you want it to fill you with something real. This moment is not about showing your strength to the universe. It's about clearing space so the universe can show its strength to you. If you fill the moment with endless requests, demands, or affirmations, you drown out the subtle messages trying to reach you. So what should you actually do? Be still. Be alone. Stay quiet. That's enough. Put away your phone, even if the eclipse is minutes away. Turn off the music. Stop the conversations. Step into a space of complete silence. In that quiet, you are no longer the one speaking. You are the one listening. When you signal to the universe that you're ready to hear, the eclipse aligns things you didn't even know needed to be aligned. Truth doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives as whispers, and whispers can only be heard in silence. Think back to the greatest turning points in your life. They rarely happened when you were busy announcing plans. They happened in those quiet flashes of realization when time seemed to stop. The eclipse is asking you to create that same space again. What people often miss is that silence isn't just preparation, it's protection. Every word you choose not to say is a door you've kept shut. Every distraction you refuse is an energy you've kept at bay. Stillness isn't weakness. It's armor. And it's not only about outer quiet, it's also about the silence within. The eclipse asks you to still your endless inner chatter, to stop rehearsing old fears, to stop replaying arguments in your mind. When that noise settles, the eclipse plants something new inside you, a seed of truth, a glimpse of direction, a spark of clarity that can change your path forever. In many traditions, eclipses were seen as sacred tests. Could you remain patient long enough to notice the unseen? Could you sit with the void without rushing to fill it? Those who couldn't often left the eclipse more confused than before. But those who honored the silence walked away transformed, even if they couldn't explain how. That's the gift of an eclipse. It doesn't always show you the change immediately, but it marks you, and that mark grows over time. So when the shadow approaches, treat the quiet itself as holy. Let your breath slow. Let your body soften. Let your mind rest. Trust that what is meant for you will only arrive if you stop chasing and finally let yourself be still. Thank you for spending your time with me and allowing me to share these thoughts with you. If this message spoke to you, I would be grateful if you subscribed and joined me for more reflections like this. Your support truly means a lot, and I'd love to hear your own experiences or feelings about the eclipse in the comments below. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay safe, and may the silence of the eclipse bring you clarity and peace.